Look at that leg blade. Look at that leg blade right there. The leg blade. Oh, you hate it when I touch your leg blade. Oh. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Tuesday after dark. It's nighttime. Still got a frog in my throat. This thing will never go away. Anywho, welcome. Goodness gracious, got a lot of you sitting in here waiting. So, things we're looking for. Tomorrow, supposedly, the pump and dump judge will mumble something. I have no idea what it will be. If it will be, BBBY can take over as the plaintiff, or everything gets thrown out, or BBY doesn't get to take over as plaintiff. Who knows what's happening? We'll find out. Next week, on the 17th, is a big hearing in the bankruptcy case. And then on top of that, the 18th is when the exclusivity period ends. Is the 18th Thursday? Friday. 18th is Thursday. Okay. So, some things coming along. Yeah. Any other news right off the bat, monkey? Huskies got their butts kicked. Pete Carroll is no longer coach of the Seattle Seahawks. Nick Saban retired. Any other stuff you got to throw in there, monkey? I don't know. So yeah, there we go. That's all I got off the top for the news. So let's do After Dark.
Houston, we have a problem.
Oh, off. I think that's got like 4 or 5 shows. I'm gonna turn it off, right? Oh, that's the sound of Ernest coming home. Okay, I warned him I'm doing a show, so he can't go on his PlayStation and destroy it for me. So, how's everyone doing? I apologize for Comcast booting me on Monday, but I only had like 6 minutes left anyway. I was like, well, it's gonna take me that long to set up another show. So, auf Wiedersehen. But we'll see if we can do an actual 2-hour show tonight without having the internet kick us off. That'd be fantastic. Dustin Height was first. Fantastic. Avocados was second. Jay Geyser. If you touch the like button, so first to like. There you go. All right. Meatball Candy Houston. Which has the best shot of actually paying out? NextBridge Hydrocarbon, Sears, or BBY? Sears is going to be 2 years. 3 years. 2 years. 900 something days is what the plan administrator asked for to finish selling real estate. So I think Sears is further away than all of us wanted. But NextBridge or BBY? I have a feeling BBBY comes first, because NextBridge is going to have to spend like 6 more months with the Senate and Congress yelling at underlings from the SEC and FINRA. So I think BBBY is more likely to be first out of those 3. Homer's Ghosts. I know it wasn't first. I just like the way it sounds. Foist. Jay Geyser, is that a combo of feces and second? What? Oh, fecund. Darren Saunders, a real number 2, situational around. All right. Anyway, avocados. Sadly, I have to get up early tomorrow, so I can't hang out. Just scrolling updates. Dustin, make sure BBYQ is covered tonight, everyone. And Jason Blackwell's throwing another code for everybody to take. So there you go. Again, if you donated, send me a message, and I got a code for. I got like 70 more codes. So I think the people who want codes have gotten them at this point, and it might just be a free for all for codes from this point forward. Okay. And Jay Geyser sent out a code as well. Nate P. Houston, any updates on BBY? We just passed the 741 trading day mark. Yeah. The only updates I know of are the 2 court dates. Tomorrow for the pump and dump, and next Wednesday for the bankruptcy. And then the 18th is the end of the exclusivity period for filing a plan. So we know that there's confidentiality agreements that have been signed since the plan became effective at the end of September. So those could very well involve credit bids, other things. I think we're waiting for fireworks to happen until the pump and dump case is just whoosh, done. So hopefully it's done, right? Tomorrow it finishes and we can be finito with that crap, and Todd and Judith can go suck an egg, and we can move on with our lives. Cross them fingers, twiddle them thumbs. All right. And Anonymous, what's the deal with those swaps that were set to expire? I've heard nothing. They were set to expire on the 8th. Did they get pushed again? Does anybody know? Or did like the quadrillion dollars in swaps just sort of flitter off? I don't know. I don't know. They're Anonymous. Not a clue. Since before, swaps are T35, I think, so around February 12th, which is a Monday. So if they fail on them all, they got T35 until everybody finally like freaks out. Stupid T35. Just make the due date the freaking due date. Don't add these stupid extra days to them all. It's so dumb. So stupid. Just have a due date be the due date. Jay Geyser, twiddle arthritis setting in, gout thumb. I'm being serial. Just hearing like squish, pop, squish, pop, squish, pop. Yeah. Alexander K. Houston, can we play calculator games with 100 shares of MMTLP? I know what you want. I know what you want there, Alexander K. This is what you're asking for, is this. Alexander just wanted me to, oh shit, I didn't turn off the calculator. Dang it. I was going to play. Alexander was wanting me, what's Paint doing on there? Go away, Paint. Definitely he made a new intro for the calculator game. So 100 shares of MTLP. Oops, that's 1,000. Okay, so 100 shares of MTLP. Let's say that there's let's say someone buys the company, right? And right now, oil's around $70 a barrel. When oil's around $100 a barrel, you're looking at $30 billion per billion barrels. So now 70% of that. So let's do 70% of 30 billion. Clear. 0.7 times 30. 21 billion. Okay, so look at 21 billion per billion barrels. We know we got 3.5 billion times 21 billion, which make a payout of $73 billion for the oil fields, hypothetically speaking. Okay, so we got 73 billion. We're going to multiply that sucker by a billion, just so we can get enough zeros in there. All right. And we got 260 million shares at the moment. 260, 1, 2, 3. So looking at payout of 282.69. So multiply that sucker by 100 shares, and your payout would be $28,000 for 100 shares. It seems all right. That's it. It's all back of the napkin, rough estimate math. So there you go. You got that and the intro, which you're going to see again because I forgot to turn it off before I switch scenes. Okay, calculator intro off. I have so many intros now, it takes me like a minute to go through and read them all as to which ones are which. Thank you for that lovely intro. Okay. Louis posting some graphs. Louis also posting Hawaiian shirts and some Houston Problem stickers. Fantastic. Ludicrous Speed, any news from Rosa? I haven't chatted with her directly. I spoke to her last week when I sent the Forbes article to her. Still trying to figure out a time she can come on the show. She's super duper deep into trying to get the war in Gaza to stop for obvious reasons, because she's Palestinian and she's losing friends and family and all sorts of people in that war. So she's been devoting a lot of time to that. She's a very busy lady. So we'll see if we can get her on here if time slows down for her ever, and see what we can accomplish. Louis, give us some Rite Aid news, Houston. It's way up from a few weeks ago. If I own 100 shares, how much higher could they go and why? Well, I don't know how much higher they could go. I do know there's been like 29,000 hours of legal fees so far, which means they have not filed all of the legal fees. That's a ridiculous amount of legal fees. They have a lot of assets, and they own multiple subsidiaries, and the subsidiaries are worth a good chunk of money. I know there's that ice cream company that's probably worth like 1.5 billion that they're going to probably split off or something. There's been rumors about Rite Aid getting absorbed by an online company and becoming an online drugstore, but drugs.com kind of failed back in the day. Who knows if an online drugstore will be helpful. It's great for prescription refills, but not great if you need a prescription that day. What sucks for me is that we've got like two pharmacies in my town, Walgreens and Rite Aid, and Walgreens won't take my insurance and Rite Aid does. So if Rite Aid closes, fuck you, Walgreens. And they're owned by the same company. It's dumb, whatever's going on there. So I don't know how high it can go. I don't know what the end result is going to be. There's all sorts of rumors that it's part of the Karetsu, but there seems to be some IEP people involved. There seems to be the exact same lawyers, not just the same law firms, but the same lawyers as were involved in Bed Bath. So I expect a creative bankruptcy if anything. So see where it goes. Kelly Reed. Was a couple like-minded individuals come together. Wait, did I miss the Kelly Reed beginning one? Or just, is that where you started? Okay. Was a couple like-minded individuals to come together and share their thoughts, kind of like here, preparing for a big crash and tendies. I think, oh wait, I'm on the top chat, not live chat. So maybe there's a oh my goodness, yes. All right, so, there we go. Yeah, so I missed a bunch of chats because I had it on top chat. I don't get the top chat thing. It doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they arbitrarily decide who has a worthy chat and who doesn't. So before I get to Kelly, I'm going to read Sis 54. Bitcoin ETF approved. Never mind. It was hacked. Wait, no, it's approved. I'm now hearing it's been removed from the SEC site. Gensler says he's been hacked. His body was taken over by hackers. Never mind, approved. Yeah. Apparently the hacker who hacked Gensler's Twitter posted, hey, Bitcoin ETF approved. Spent $10,000 on 1,001 leveraged calls of some kind. Bitcoin skyrocketed. They made $1 million. Then they bought $20,000 in puts against Bitcoin that were leveraged 1,001, and they made $2 million when it got revealed it was a hack. So they made $3 million off that hack. Pretty good. I mean, kudos. I got a tip of the cap to that hacker. You're doing it right, I guess. Geminius, Houston. You see the news about Trump and his belief that president could assassinate political rivals? I must have missed that in class and constitutional law. How is that not a red flag for the country? Yeah. So, I mean, if it's a green light to assassinate political rivals, then Biden can assassinate Trump and no problem, right? So basically, Trump just gave Biden the green light to kill Trump. That's the way I read that. So, I don't think Trump thinks these things through. But no, it's not legal to kill your political rivals. It is against the law. There's high crimes and misdemeanor clauses all around. Now, you can get away with it if your party refuses to impeach you or the DOJ refuses to charge you. But that would be outside the bounds of the actual law, be my guess. J-Geyser, Dutch farmer rebellion. Now the German farmers are blocking the Autobahn. Speculate who will be next, and will the German farmers have their bank accounts frozen, a la the Canadian truckers? Probably not. Europe loves protests. They protest. It is a very European thing, and everybody loves it. And it's like it's like as American apple pie, as European as protesting. I think the farmers are in deep doo-doo, largely because of the expense of equipment, fuel, labor, compounding with the fact that inflation has been kept artificially low in Europe for the last couple of years due to actions from the European Union that are set to expire. And I think inflation is going to go bonkers in the EU coming up this year. And so they're going to be even more deep doo-doo when that happens. So we have to figure out how to feed the globe and do it in a way that, I don't know, allows us to feed the globe. Right? Like, if we price out food, then everyone dies, and that defeats the entire purpose of having a society. So we have got to figure out how to, like, eat and pay for it and make sure people who grow it are paid to grow it, can survive themselves. We seem to be really, like, hitting the shit on this point. In the U.S., our big problem is not the farmers themselves, but the conglomerates who have consolidated farming. There's basically 4 companies that grow your food. And whether it's meat, produce, dairy, there's like 4 of them. And they price fix like crazy. Like the chicken companies just got gigantic fines and lost in court to the tune of like billions of dollars for price fixing. And they paid these huge fines. Like if you're a resident of Washington State, you were getting, there's like hundreds of millions of dollars coming the way to citizens in the way of payouts from these fines. And they're still price fixing. They like paid the fine. It's just the cost of doing business. Like whatever. We made more money by consolidating the meat market. And you know, we've got these huge factory farms owning just so much land. And then what they end up growing is like inedible food. So there is millions, like hundreds of millions of acres in the middle of the country dedicated to growing industrial corn. This is corn that cows can't eat, humans can't eat. It's used for like making alcohol, which is subsidized ethanol. And corn, to grow that corn takes more oil to grow the corn than the ethanol that replaces the oil at the gas pump. But they convinced the government to give them subsidies for corn oil, for corn ethanol. And now the ethanol is the government pays them to grow not food, to make your fuel suck and be more expensive in the end. I remember driving across Canada in my 2000 F-150, not great gas mileage, got like 16 miles per gallon here in the US, got 21 miles to the gallon in Canada with ethanol-free fuel. What? Like, oh, you don't have the MBTEs and the other additives in there that are supposed to keep the pollutants down, but you use like 30% less fuel? Oh, maybe we should focus on that. Like I don't know if you guys, any of you drive a diesel, but recently you have to have DEF. It's a urea solution that's designed to take out nitrogen particles out of the exhaust, right? To make the exhaust from the diesel cleaner. Well, if you go and you get like a DEF delete and an EGR delete, EGR is the system that takes the exhaust and pumps it back into the cylinders and reburns it to hopefully take care of pollutants, right? If you take that system off of there and flash the control computer to like ignore the need for DEF and the need for the EGR, your diesel will get like 25% better gas mileage. So in the end, you might be producing less particulates in the atmosphere per mile than you are from putting these anti-particulates into the engine. Like, you just want a clean burning fuel. And the addition of DEF and the EGR ends up putting so much soot back in the engine that you blow your engine. And so you have to replace it sooner. So if you didn't have that stuff, your engine would last like 500,000 miles. And now you have that stuff, the engine lasts like 150,000 miles, sometimes only about 50,000 miles. So I think the United States sometimes shoots itself in the foot when it comes to cleaning the air rather than just making the systems as fuel efficient as possible. Yeah. My dad's truck this summer. I borrowed his, or last summer, I borrowed his truck, did a trip to Canada, and I did 17 miles per gallon in America, 23 miles per gallon on Canadian gasoline. Going the same speed, not slowing down. I easily go 10 miles an hour below speed limit everywhere I go. And we kind of do it wrong here in the US. I mean, a diesel car in Europe, pick a Jetta diesel, turbo diesel. We'll get like 80 miles to the gallon in Europe. Here, 45, because we have all the stupid additives to cut down the particulates. And when we cut down the particulates, the engine becomes really inefficient and has to burn more fuel, producing more particulates. That's what I have to say. Okay. Here's Michael, Houston. I walked into a wall while having a full erection. I broke my nose. Nice. Kelly Reed, blows your mind the apes own 1.2 billion of GameStop equity. Allegedly, we know it's more too. Amazing that basic math reason can't bring down the largest financial cartel ever created. All it took was a couple of like-minded individuals to come together and share their thoughts, kind of like here. Preparing for a big crash and tendies. This is how you prepare, right there. Wasn't that song called War of the Titans or something? J. King, Houston. Good morning to all. This is great. The first 2024 late night. It's great to be here with you guys. Welcome. Ludicrous Speed. I really didn't think Michigan would beat Alabama or Washington. Hedgies probably manipulated the playoffs and had bets against the Huskies. I am going to be the Husky fan who finds excuses. But number 73, I can't remember his name, on the offensive line. Literally 4 plays in a row cost the Huskies the game, period. His holding and stuff ruined a 35-yard play, and he false started a couple of times. He just right there, 4 plays in a row, just kind of ruined the entire offense momentum and cost the Huskies the game. 2, the officials would not call holding or passer interference on Michigan that should have been called so many times. Oh my gosh. There were so many times, their line was just, throwing guys to the ground by their jersey and wasn't being called at all. So that right there is just harumph bullshit. But anyways, Penix is really, really good, and he got broken. I think that boy has, broken ribs at this point. He was holding his side after every play and they weren't sacking him, but they were just hitting him every time he'd pass the ball, and he just got squished every single time. I think that really did a number on him and hurt his ability, his normal accuracy that he had. But anyway, also he got stepped on by his own player and raked his ankle pretty bad. But yeah, maybe next year, who knows? DeBoer it's only the 12th game DeBoer's ever lost in his college coaching career. So he's 120-12 or something for a career. That's a pretty good record. So, if you're going to lose one, let it be the championship game. So you're second best in the country. Okay. But now everyone's going to get drafted, so we have to find a whole new team. I'm your friend. Aloha from Wahoo. Happy birthday. Did SBF really get off the hook? I don't think so. I think he's already charged and sentenced, right? And they just dropped a couple of charges against him because he's going to be in prison for so long it won't matter. So I think SBF charges dropped. No, prosecutors did not drop all the charges. There's the first thing from AP News. That's from July. So let's see here. SBF evades second trials, prosecutors drop trial. So he's convicted in the first trial. It's the second trial that they dropped. So, U.S. prosecutors have made an unexpected decision regarding the former FTX founder. Additional charges have been dropped in plea deal, leaving lingering legal impact implications. I think it has to do with there were certain charges in the extradition deal with the Bahamas that they could only charge these particular crimes, and those ones that they were charged for the second trial were outside the purview of the extradition treaty with the Bahamians. So the Bahamians could challenge any conviction that happens and get those thrown out anyway. So I think that's what they did. So, yeah, the unlawful political contributions one. That was the second trial, and the Bahamians basically said, no, you can't do that because our extradition deal did not allow for it. So that's what it was. He's already convicted in the other one, though. Nate P, ready for some great Twitter drama now that Pulte is blocking anybody who disagrees with him or asks him any kind of question. A lot of people are digging up good info that's not great for Pulte. I mean, I found two articles, or was sent two articles. One talking about how Pulte was scammed out of $250,000 by one of Kanye West's employees, who was later fired, and that's how they had their meetings. And another showing that he illegally contributed $500,000 to Donald Trump's campaign in 2021, and there may be charges still related to that. So he basically illegally contributed $500,000 to a PAC, trying not to report that he was the money behind it, and was like hiding where the money came from. And there's also some squirrely ways you can donate to political action committees, and that one seemed to be a big one to lose. So, how are you, little bud? Huh? Look at your little butt. Oh my goodness, monkey. Yeah. You cold? It is cold. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. So we'll see how warm it is. It's gonna be cold. Hope the pipes burst. Kelly Reed, Best Buy is removing physical media. Looks like GameStop will be the front runner for physical games and will also in future create a market to sell digital media and games soon. Really? So they're not going to sell games at Best Buy anymore, huh? Interesting. Well, I mean, a lot of games are all being downloaded now. And we'll see how long that lasts, because people who purchased, was it PlayStation? They purchased movies on PlayStation. PlayStation is now deleting their movies. They no longer have access to them, which makes, like, I own this movie. You no longer own it because PlayStation can decide if and when you have that movie ever, which I think is silly. Because then they can do that to your games too, right? Do you own that game if you download it from them and pay them money? Or can they just arbitrarily be like, no, you don't have it anymore? I say. Oh crap, did I miss? I did. I missed the meow meow chat. I'm sorry. Do you think Gary Gensler is actually Mr. Burns? They look awfully similar. Excellent. Actually, he kind of does like Mr. Burns. I'll give you that, meow meow. He does look like Mr. Burns. Release the hounds. Pacific Northwest Texan. Mantis shrimp are badasses. Mantis shrimp are badasses. They've got 16 rods and cones. You have 3. That allows you to see color in the visible spectrum. This dog under a blanket has 2. So she basically sees more or less grayscale. Mantis shrimp have 16. Now I think an ant has 4 and allows them to see ultraviolet. There are animals that have 4 and they can see infrared. So mantis shrimp has 16, which means what they see in the spectrum has got to be absolutely bonkers. Not only that, but their punch is so fast it compresses the water in front of their punch, which superheats it to 50,000 degrees, basically almost fusion temperature inside the sun. And it's not the punch that kills them, it's the flash cooking of whatever they're punching that kills them. And they're almost impossible to keep as a pet because they'll punch the glass and shatter the glass of any aquarium you have. So you have to have like crazy thick anti-ballistic glass in order to keep a mantis shrimp from basically try drowning. Is that what happens? Something that's out in the air, killing everybody in the tank. So Yeah, mantis shrimp are totally badass. When I was like the glorified math tutor at the art college, so we used to like teach math class, and they had bought this like $1 million computer system because some guy played golf with some other guy, and he agreed like, yeah, let's play this computer system. And all the students were in a computer lab with the computer telling them what to do. They'd have a password every day, and I would make the password some interesting animal. And so I did a whole thing on the mantis shrimp before they had their password. And one of the girls who was in the fashion design program made me a mantis shrimp stuffed animal, and it was beautiful. And then Monkey Butt destroyed it. So, oh well. I used to have a nice mantis shrimp stuffed animal to show everybody. Griller breakfast jumping burger. F yeah. Scott Lumley, Houston. What is your plan after after MOAS? What are you going to do with your well-earned gains? Travel with Monkey Butt. 4-wheel drive RV. I'm going looking for rocks everywhere. I'm going to do that for quite a bit. I'm going to get a really, really nice gold dredge. I'm just going to go out and look for stuff. Look for diamonds, look for sapphires, look for gold. Just have fun. I don't care about, not caring about having to make money at it, which is what I normally do in my summertime exploits is I'm like, oh, I go out there, I got to make some money to pay for these trips. I don't care. I can look other places. I can try to find new finds all over the place. That's probably retirement plan number 1. I'd really like to, as like a pleasure trip, I would like to take my entire extended family, put them on a sailboat, and sail the Adriatic some summer. Go from Treatsy, Italy, all the way down to Greece or something, and hit up the Dalmatian coast and Albania and Montenegro and just all those places along the way, and have a grand old time sailing the Adriatic in beautiful summer and cliffs and blue water and things like that. Yeah. Outside of that, we'll see what comes. Maybe, invest in some companies so that friends and family can have their own fortunes. And I don't know. Those are my immediate plans. Travel. Oh, is there a cat wants to come in? Come on, Fatso. There we go. Fatso the Catso. Yeah, you're in. Welcome, kitty. Boop, 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 boop. Yogi, 2012 sold my Tilray today because I found out they're using BCG. Uh-oh. I wonder if that's going to become the death knell in the future. Like, oh, they hired BCG, buying puts now. Emu goes fishing 84. Can you explain how muscovite was used for glass? Ooh, actually, I don't know how muscovite was used for glass. Let's see what. Right. Oh. Muscovite. Pane of glass, known as Muscovy glass. It was fashioned in the mineral muscovite, more commonly known as mica. The mica. Mica glass. Yeah. So it has a really, really high melting temperature. So oftentimes it was used, you'd take sheets of it and put it into wood stoves. So you'd find really old wood stoves from, say, 1850s, an old cabin would have mica as the glass. You can see the wood burning and let the light out. Because they didn't have a way to develop glass that could handle temperatures like that yet. And you can just take sheets of mica and slide them in. So they're really brittle though, so you can't touch them. It'll shatter, it'll break pretty easily. So as long as you aren't touching them and logs aren't falling into them, they made great little glass panes. I used to have a really cool big old block of mica I found when I was in 4th grade in Glacier National Park, some campground, while with my G.I. Joes, and was climbing around the forest. And under it's a hill, and under a tree, and the roots are kind of sticking out, I found this big old block and sheets would peel off of it. I was like, what the heck? And my brain didn't realize like, hey, this is a rock. I thought this must be like a whole bunch of grocery bags that got buried and cooked under here. That's what my brain thought. And so I took this block, I showed it to my mom. She's like, oh, that's a rock. That's mica. And I have no idea what happened to it. Absolutely zero. I had it on the shelf in my childhood bedroom, and then it was just gone one day. So I don't know where that big old block of mica is. Huh. Well, but yeah, that's so it's called muscovite because it was mined in Russia in the 17th century for a lot of that stuff. And so they would do it for like ship's lanterns and ovens and stoves and other things like that that had high temperatures, and the glass at the time couldn't handle it. But then we invented soda glass and what's that stuff called? The Pyrex, things like that can handle really high temperatures, and thus we now have glasses that can last for a long time. Now, we do have some cool glasses that are made from crystals that are used in high temperature stuff. Like a couple years ago, we sent a probe to Mercury to go around Mercury and take pictures of Mercury. And it's really close to the sun. And when it was facing towards the sun, it could be like 5,000 degrees on the lens. And so they made the lens out of blue diamond. They made a big, giant artificial blue diamond and then shaved it down into a lens for the camera so it could actually handle those huge temperature swings between when the camera was pointed towards the sun and was pointed away. So that's some of the stuff we use now in lieu of mica. Hey, kitten. You were hanging out in here. I know you were. Come here. Come here and say hello to everybody. Oh, I got you. I got you. Ha ha ha. Yes, the kitten is here. She's not so little anymore. She's like medium size now. Look, you're on camera. You kind of smell delicious, kitty. What were you been rolling around in? You smell like perfume. Yeah. Oh, little buddy. Yeah. Want to go over there? Want to go... Where are you going? Where are you going? I'm going to put holes in my shirt. Go right there. There we go. It's plastic. Can't handle that so much. Little kitten. Yes, buddy. You haven't been on the show in a while. You haven't been coming upstairs, but you were hiding in the closet. So, don't drink my water. It's my water. Nope, it's my water. Not your water. That's my water. What were we talking about? Also, Yogi 2012. Dennis Neal is doing a podcast with Johnny Tobacco tomorrow on MMTLP. Came on Space today to learn, seemed to ask good questions, and learn quickly. Okay. I don't know who either of those people are, but excellent. I did see a post today from someone who sent to me, like, hey, newsmakers, here's the story of MMTLP. You need to do a story on it. And all the newsmakers they tagged were like horrible far-right grifters like Dinesh D'Souza and Steve Bannon and crap. And I was like, oh, can we, when we tag journalists, can we tag like actual journalists and not like Nazis? Can we just do that, please? You know, because if we keep having anyone who makes a stink about this publicly for us be the worst people in the entire world, then no one's going to take it seriously. We can't have James O'Keefe championing our cause because James O'Keefe is going to go to prison for defrauding a charity. Like he's not the type of person where you don't want a convicted felon like Dinesh D'Souza, you know, speaking up for you because Dinesh D'Souza committed felony campaign finance fraud, had to be pardoned by Donald Trump. He's a shitty human being. So can we please have like legit journalists be the ones tagged on these stories? Because they're gonna treat us like QAnon if we keep tagging the worst people in the entire world to be the voices for us. Like, we need legit, neutral news reporters and journalists to report on this. Because otherwise, it's just gonna be like the Drudge Report or something. Like, no one's gonna take us seriously at all. Except for like the weirdest people on earth. And we're already weird enough. We need a little more legitimacy in there. How many cats do you have? I have one cat, but I have a roommate who has two. And so I got two of the three creatures in the house in here. Fat boy's on the floor and the kitten's over there climbing around on a box. So there's a lot of cats in here. And they all like sleep, like they all pile on the bed with me and Monkey. So it gets very warm. Aaron Salentine, just pay us our MMTLP money. Please do. Whoop ass, nothing wrong with seeing great things twice. Because a new calculator intro got in there twice. Let's go. Houston's thoughts on Stephen Hawking's connection with Einstein. Thoughts on Stephen Hawking connection with Einstein? I mean, he was on an episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where he's playing poker with Einstein and Newton. Is that... I don't... Stephen Hawking connection with Einstein. Stephen Hawking played a key role in the mathematical effort to unify Einstein's general theory of relativity with the emergent field of quantum physics. I mean, they still had success there. So, I don't know which connection you'd want me to talk about. I mean, he explained a lot of relativity to folks. He was sort of like the relativity educator, like in his famous Brief History of Time and A Briefer History of Time, which is for like, you know, people who can't pay attention to the much complicated stuff. But beyond that, yeah, I don't know what other connection you'd want me to talk about. I mean, they both worked in relativity. Stephen Hawking was a cosmologist, and his big contribution was theorizing what happens inside of a black hole. He came up with Hawking radiation, which is a way for black holes to potentially evaporate, which is, you know, we talked in the past about this. All around us, you've got matter that appears. You have matter and antimatter that appear, hit each other, blink out of existence. Well, Hawking theorized you can have that happen at the edge of a black hole, and you have one part go into the black hole, say it's antimatter, and it deletes part of the black hole, and the other part goes the other way and never falls into the event horizon. And so thus, theoretically, a black hole can evaporate over time. But, you know, one of my points is that you can have just as many regular particles fall in, antimatter particles go out in the universe and delete part of the universe, and that the black hole wouldn't necessarily evaporate over time. But anyway, no Stephen Hawking. If you got a more specific question, I can go on that. Where was I? Okay. Pump and dump case in judge's hand to rule. Exactly. And hopefully we get a ruling tomorrow. Scott Pawn, buy GME because I like the stock. There you go. Chris Collins, hey from Lima. Minneapolis was a stopover on the way to visit friend in D.C. back in the humid heat. There you go. Back on the coast. Back at the edge of the Atacama. Where are you kitten? I hear you jingling around here somewhere. Better not be on top of that thing. Okay. Make sure. Heard jingling. I thought it might have been on top of the backup battery and then just shut the show off in the middle of the show. Like the fat man's done in the past. Yeah, a couple more steps. Yeah, there you go. Now you're no longer in the threat zone. Yeah. Ooh, if I scratch your butt, you can run away. There we go. All right. Battery back up. Remember when the Triple Fat Man shut the show off by turning off the computer? Kitty, no! And then that was it. No more Houston. Okay. Chris Collins, do you think this continued attempt to broker by broker attack on share numbers will come to anything? They are doing Royal Bank of Canada now. I think it's great. They're doing a large scale survey. They're doing a survey where you have to like prove the shares you have and which brokers they're sitting in, and then they're taking the. Oh my God, kitten! Don't you dare! Hey, get out! Don't you dare! Come on! I think you can attack my foot. Oh, that's my foot. Yeah, you can attack that all day long. Just don't jump on the backup battery. You're not as fat as the other cats. So you might actually be able to turn it off. But what was I talking? Oh yeah, I think it's a brilliant strategy because they can now give these numbers to members of Congress who are trying to hold FINRA's feet to the fire. And when FINRA lies to them, they're like, but look at this. We have just 88 clients inside a TradeStation showing that TradeStation oversold this stock by 204% with just 88 clients. So you're lying to my face right now, FINRA president or whoever the hell is up there. I think it's great. I think it's a really, 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 really good thing to go broker by broker and show just how fucked up they are. What I would love to see is Webull, because Webull was lending out long after the stock stopped trading. So if you had MMTLP shares in your Webull account last March, heck, if they're in your account right now and you were to turn on lending, your shares would be lent out immediately because they know exactly they've got way too many naked shares. And now the kitten's destroying a box. It's better than my feet, I guess. Okay. But yeah, I think it's good. Stuart Longley, Houston, with BBBY for the short to close, won't we need to get our shares to Buyback? Our shares to Buyback? Shares to Buyback? Yes. If shorts want to close, they're going to have to reissue new equity, which is, I think, what the plan is. You do a credit bid for the company for what's left, which includes upwards of $10 billion in net operating losses that can be applied to the ongoing business. And when you do that and you want to enjoy those NOLs, existing shareholders must be given 50% of the equity in the company. So we get our shares back, but new ones. And then the shorts are still on the hook for all the shares they shorted. And if you do something like a cash distribution, then you set a floor price on that stock, which absolutely F's the shorts in the A, because a lot of them shorted at 7 cents, at 10 cents, at 20 cents. And so if you all of a sudden give a cash payout of like $10, $15, $30, $40 to each shareholder, then suddenly the floor price becomes around that $40 mark. So not only will the shorts now be responsible for a cash payout on every single solitary one of those shares that they shorted, but now they're going to lose all the liquidity for that because that cash payout, and the floor price becomes so high that their margin just explodes. And then they get margin called, and when they get margin called, they want the cash available on the market because we're in a liquidity crisis to get the cash for the next day. So then they're going to get liquidated, and when they get liquidated, then they start forced buying, and when forced buying happens, that causes the margin of other brokers to explode, and it's a big giant chain reaction, and all the dominoes fall down, and we buy up all their houses and Ferraris and boats and stuff, and live their lives. See how that works? That's what we'll have to look forward to. Okay. Can I read? Anyone here that the U.S. second largest pension fund may borrow more than $30 billion to help it maintain liquidity while having to sell assets at fire sale prices? I bet that pension fund has way more than $30 billion in assets, so I don't think it's that big a deal. What is the second largest pension fund? How many assets do they have? Largest U.S. pension funds. Okay. Could be California public employees. California public employees pension fund size. Oh, come on. Paste. Gosh dang it. California employees. Copy that. Paste that. There we go. $469 billion. Okay, so they got $469 billion in a pension fund. They're borrowing $30 billion. I don't think that's too big of a deal. I think it's notable that they have to borrow in order to maintain liquidity during these times, especially with the SPY. Like, oh, the SPY's going up. Really, it's only those 7 stocks. Like, NVIDIA is flying again. Why? They're already overpriced because they're trying to make sure those 7 stocks that are heavily weighted in the S&P 500, the SPY, the NASDAQ, 1000, etc., that those 7 stocks do well against the entire market, because then it keeps those index funds high. So they're a complete facade. So, yeah, I think borrowing $30 billion against $469 billion, it's a lot, but it's not like a hedge fund borrowing $30 billion against $1 billion. So, I think it's, it's something that probably has to happen every once in a while. You don't want a pension fund to start selling off a bunch of stuff, especially when that one large, because it could trigger an entire sell-off across the whole market. And then MOAS happens anyway because everyone's assets collapse. Jay Geyser. So NextBridge giving to MTLP. Why? All stockholders registered to get stock. Just stick it to shorts. If 2 days trading ever happens, does NextBridge benefit? Was never to trade in the first place. Yeah. I think if they do the 2 days of trading, they should make it only for holders. So no other new shares issued. Ones McCabe got and insiders got. Nothing issued after December 12th of 2022 should be allowed to sell. It should only be the people who held shares before then. And then you do forced closure. So basically a broker, if they've got a short position in their brokerage, they force close that position. Say, all right, we're going to start buying the stock back and you've got to close your position. And that's, I think, the only way to do it. Otherwise, all of a sudden you're going to get people who were not part of the original MTLP, diluting the price. We don't want that. Chris Collins, any other blue sky codes flying around? I've got so many, and all the people who donated have not asked for them. So send me a message and I will shoot you one. Jay Robinson, what's up, Houston? The opposite of down. Thank you for the picture. It was nice meeting you at the event in Fort Lauderdale. Nice meeting you too. Don't remember your face though. Everyone kind of blurs together at that thing. But welcome. All right. Hostile Takeover. Hope we're talking about GME. We can. We had minus 30C in Oslo recently. That is not normal. That is not normal. That is very cold for Oslo. So Oslo, we can go to Google Earth. Why not? Let's Google Earth it. Got to open the Google Earth first, and it's going to open the wrong window. I'm going to try and make it small so I can fit in the other window. Un momento, por favor. There we go. Oh, open the right window. Fantastic. So we talked about this before. We have the Gulf of Mexico. The sun beats down the Gulf of Mexico. The sun beats down the Caribbean Sea. All this warm water expands, right? As it expands, it wants to get the hell out of here and allow cooler water in. And the way it gets out of here is via this oceanic river. So you can see it's like a river bottom. This is the Gulf Stream. This is really warm water firing out of the Gulf at crazy speeds, and it shoots up and heads over to Northern Europe. Ping! Out here. And it keeps it. The ocean is freakishly warm for the latitudes here. Like, you're pretty far north. You can see, we point the sucker due north here. You can see like New York is significantly south. New York is on par with Spain latitude-wise. And Spain is a very, very hot place. New York is very temperate. Northern Canada is on... Kidding, dude. Don't... Nails and chalkboard, not cool. Like Northern Canada, which sucks, is the same latitude as like Ireland and England. So these places are artificially warm due to that Gulf Stream. And you get into Oslo, Norway, which is up the Seal Fjord right here. You got the shallow North Sea. It gets cold winter, because kidding. No, don't. Hey, don't you do that. I'm telling a story here. I'm going to tell a story, and it's going to involve talking about things, not with you making nails on a chalkboard sound to bug the hell out of me. So, it gets cold because it's dark, right? You're up really far north. You're at 59 degrees north, so you're 6-7 degrees below the Arctic Circle. You don't have much sunlight. Yeah, it gets cold. But because of the Gulf Stream, it's actually warmer than it should be. Like if you were at that latitude in Russia or northern Canada, you are frozen. You're at minus 40, minus 60. It is really, 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 really cold. So for Oslo to get to minus 30, that's a freakish cold. And we're getting more cold snaps like that because these things called polar vortexes. And I'm not sure exactly how they work in Europe, but in North America, what happens is you usually have really cold descending air in northern Canada. So that air comes down and wants to push out. And it pushes out and heads south. And then you got warm air from the tropics trying to push north. And they usually meet and make all sorts of crazy storm systems and stuff through the southeast. Every once in a while, the jet stream, which is flying across the United States, usually it's up here in the Pacific Northwest, but in El Nino years, it pushes down and starts going across southern California, which allows this cold air to dip down from the east side of the Rockies and fill out a good chunk of the United States and make it unseasonably cold. Because if that jet stream either breaks down or it's too far south, there's not enough shear to keep that cold weather up north. Now, I think the problem that's happening in Northern Europe is that the Gulf Stream is shutting down because there's so much freshwater melt coming off of Greenland that fresh water floats on salt water. And so this water is just above freezing. It ends up going on top of the Gulf Stream water, and the Gulf Stream water ends up diving underneath the Atlantic Ocean, making the surface temperatures of the water colder, keeping the northern climes colder in the winter than they normally would be. And the worry is that if Greenland has a full-on melting year one summer, that the Gulf Stream will be shut down entirely, and Europe will basically face an ice age compared to everyone else, because they'll finally have to succumb to the northern climates that have been unseasonably warm or climatologically too warm for their latitudes. So, yeah, that's cold. That's cold. Stephanie L., my mother passed away last week. Oh, I'm sorry. World shattered. I just want you to know, in the days before her death, she asked to hear your show because she knew I loved it. Thank you for bringing her some joy in her last days on Earth. Oh, Stephanie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your loss. Big hugs. Hope you got a kitten you can hold in your arms who will just sit there forever. This cat will never move. That's one thing. You put her upside down in your arms, she just sits there. But big hugs to you. I'm sorry for your loss, and yeah, I'm petting the cat for you because I don't know what else to do. Give you a pat in the back and a hug via the internet. Come to your screen. There we go. I'm sorry. Yeah, but I'm glad she liked my show, right? Oh, you're such a sweet little kitten. Yeah. Okay. Where were we? Okay. Blue Sky Code, Fort Lauderdale, 30 degrees in Oslo. Okay. Oh, and I just lost my spot. Dan Harris, who do you consider the best of MMTLP commentators? There's a few of them that do good jobs explaining the issues. Even then, a lot of those guys still contact the worst human beings in the entire world to try and push the story forward. I think Busy Brands does a good job. I think Drew Diligence does a good job. I think, I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I don't get to see too much of who's posting what. Syntax, who else is in there? Marduk, who's the meta guy? Who's the meta guy, Katie? What was that guy's name? I can't remember. But there's a lot of them, I think, who get a lot of good information out there. But we probably don't agree politically, which is why they're asking who I think are some of the worst human beings on earth to push our story. They're like, oh, I love this guy. So we disagree definitely there. But But yeah, there's quite a few of them. But mine not being on Twitter anymore, I don't see it come by my screen like I used to. People send me a lot of tweets to look at, and I can open them up and look at those, but I can't really because I can't interact on there anymore. I don't really scroll the feed like I used to and get in fights with Nazis. Brett Montgomery, I see Oscar Mayer is looking for drivers for the Wienermobile. That would be a perfect job for Gary Gensler. Dude, I would love to be a Wienermobile driver. If I could bring the animals with me, heck yeah. Let's party with the Wienermobile going across the country, taking pictures at birthday parties and stuff, and like openings of grocery stores. Are you a little kitten? Ooba-dooba-doo. Yeah. Such a little dude. You're just a little dude. Yes, you are. Okay. Nate P, amazing. What four-wheel drive RV you looking at? Well, I mean, can't go wrong. I like an RV with a pass-through, because it's like you can get the Unimogs and stuff, and they're badass and they climb over anything. But to go to sleep, you have to like get out, walk outside, and then like climb back into the bed, into the camper part of the truck. And when I'm on long road trips, sometimes I just want to just go to sleep. Just get out of the seat, fall into bed. So Earth Roamers or something along those lines. So Earth Roamer's a bit too big. Like I would like a smaller camper. If I need to haul stuff, I'll put it on the roof, whatever. Like the old Toyota Sun Raiders, they made Nissan Sun Raiders too, but those from the 80s, 70s and 80s, those are like the perfect size, an 18-foot Sun Raider. So if I can get an old Sun Raider camper back and put it onto a modern truck, like, put it onto a 2019 Dodge Ram with that 3-liter diesel, hell yeah. You got 400 pounds of torque. You get 30-something miles per gallon and a camper on the back. Sign me up. The Toyotas they were on were completely underpowered. They had like 114 horsepower, hauling cajillion pounds. The mountain passes were a problem. You can stick newer engines in them, and you can get four-wheel drive systems for them and stuff. But I think put a modern, newer truck as the base, and something like a Sun Raider, 18-foot Sun Raider on the back with the rear dinette. Be park in like beautiful locations and do shows from there. Wouldn't that be great, little kitten? Yeah, that would be so great. What are you staring at me, monkey? You got so many treats today. We went into town. Now we bought treats from one of the shops in town, and they gave you a whole bunch of them because you bought them. You don't need any more treats, dude. You got so many treats today. You're good. You hear me say the word treats over and over again. Now your ears keep perking up. But you see your little nose and the edge of the monkey cam there, just staring at me. Just staring. Right there. That's where the monkey nose is. I am knee deep in animals today. Bex, happy birthday, Houston. How are you feeling about GMG predictions, not financial advice? I think in the next couple of years, they're going to have their commercially available batteries, and they'll start selling them, and things will be fantastic. Now, there's others coming with batteries to market. There's other folks making solid-state batteries. There's the sodium batteries that are coming out. I think the move away from lithium is going to happen a lot faster than people realize, because lithium sucks. Yeah, it can charge pretty well. It can hold a better charge than like lead acid batteries. It's lighter, but the cooling systems are super heavy. They burst into flames. I don't know if you've seen the spontaneous combustion of the BYD cars. Those are the Chinese electric cars, but they're like bursting into flames and burning buildings down. They're they'll just burst into, like, they explode and like eject their occupants 1,000 feet into the air, and they're terrifying. And so if you could have a solid state battery or a sodium battery that does not do that and has, can hold as much or 10 times larger the charge per kilogram, and you can get rid of the heating and cooling systems that weigh them down and suck a lot of energy, you're going to get, all of a sudden, electric cars are going to dominate in a way they have not to this point, because the batteries last longer, because you get more charges out of them. They last longer per charge. So you're looking at 1,000 to 3,000 miles per charge, which means if you're on a road trip, you can drive across the entire United States without having to charge your car. How awesome is that? Gas station convenience stores are going to be hurting because people won't be pulling over to get gas. and the car would charge in like 2 to 10 minutes to 100%. So it'll be like pulling over at the gas station, fill the tank up, leave, right? So you were just such a comfy little kitten. You are. You're like a little goofball. Yeah. So I think their time's coming. They're perfecting their cells. So they have the small like watch battery size ones, and they got the cell phone size ones. The cell phone size cells stacked in like series are what you have in most of those car batteries anyway, just with lithium cells. So you can stack more of them in there, and you don't have to have the cooling apparatus, the radiators between them all. I think the future is coming on them. The future is coming. Dan Harris, I'm glad you have stayed above PP versus Kai's drama. Self-promoters have their place and their followers. Yeah, the drama stuff, just I have no interest in. I do think I've been getting sent like PP's tweets, and I think PP's been taking the high road. That's for sure. Like Kais is trying to screw him over, and PP's like, no. Let's talk about this like men. We don't need to get small and petty with each other. And I think he's been taking the high road on that, and good for him. I don't know if I would have the ability to do that. I'd probably get real mean if that were happening to me. Dan Harris, what do you feel through your own thoughts feel the selling prices will be for BBYQ and MMTLP? If BBYQ breaks the way we think it is, which is there's a cash distribution as well as distribution of equity, I think the prices can be absolutely hilarious. 3, 4, 5 zeros behind prices I don't think are outside the bounds. MMTLP, it depends on which way MMTLP goes. Is there a court settlement or a forced settlement from the government? They're going to do 2 days of trading. Is there going to be a buyer? If there's a buyer, a couple $100 a share. Okay. If there's a forced settlement, that could also be in the couple $100 a share. If there's 2 days of trading, thousands, easily thousands a share per share. And that will go quickly and climb really fast. And that's the one that FINRA and the shorts do not want. They do not want anybody to have the ability to sell their shares, because if there's forced closure happening, it will be an appreciable portion of the United States GDP going to close out those shares, and it's going to be bonkers. Yogi 2012, Dennis Neal used to write for Forbes. I believe he may have wrote one of their legitimate short selling articles. His podcast is right wing, but I've never listened to it. Not sure how far right. Okay, so he's with a legit, or was with a legit news service. That's good. Hey, Leaky Mountains here. How warm does Monkey get? She gets cold. She radiates heat really efficiently, so she's excellent, like something to snuggle to, but she hates snuggling. But I have to cover her in blankets, especially on nights like this, because it's going to get down to like 15 degrees either tomorrow night, I think, one of these evenings, and the house will be pretty chilly, even with the heaters cranked. So she's going to be under blankets, and then all the cats will be sleeping on me, probably making me sweat because, oh my God, they're so warm. But yeah, see this little dude? This little dude just sits here. She's just purring, and as long as you have her cupped, she just sits here. And it's funny, you can like move her tail and it'll like stick whichever direction. Oh, there you go. I'll move it right there. Oh, is there your tail? Is there your tail? Oh, you're like a little ball. You're like a little soft little basketball in my arms. But welcome, Jake. 110 Mahir. What do you think Ryan Cohn will do that $1.2 billion in cash? I mean, there's so many possibilities. If he wanted to, he would dump that $1.2 billion into dividends, into dividend stocks, right? Just dump them in there. And then, it wouldn't matter what GameStop sells in a year, because they would have like 25% profit year over year on that multi-billion alone, which would make the company profitable in general. So, yeah, I think that he could probably put it in almost anything and come out a winner. Put it in Apple stock. He could put it into IEP. He could put it into Philips Conoco. Like, there's a host of stuff that they can do. Pacheco Roan, I love that bull riding intro. Excellent. Oh, did you write Einstein? Epstein and not Einstein? Is that what I read? Oh, Epstein, not Einstein. I totally misread that. I did not know that Stephen Hawking was connected to Epstein. Stephen Hawking. I had not read that. Stephen Hawking was in the Epstein documents? What unsealed Jeffrey Epstein documents say about Stephen Hawking? Interesting. Oh, are you trying to get away finally? Are you trying to get away, or do you want me to like snuggle you harder? Is that what you want? Okay. Stephen Hawking hasn't been accused of sexual misconduct involving Epstein. Well, I mean, Stephen Hawking did divorce his wife and marry his nurse, so you know he was a bit of a player. Here, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna go right there. Yeah. Oh, let's see here. The unsealing Epstein files has shocked many across the world. While some of the names were doing the rounds for the weeks, popping up of others who were surprising. Among them is Stephen Hawking, renowned theoretical physicist and one of the greatest minds. As soon as the documents were unsealed by a New York judge, the debate started on social media on Mr. Hawking. As per the Miami Herald, the release of the document comes following a years-long legal fight. Epstein died in prison in 2019. His death was officially ruled a suicide. As for Mr. Hawking, his name was mentioned in an email Epstein sent to associate Ghislaine Maxwell in 2015. Spoke about offering a reward to disprove reported allegation made by Virginia Giuffre that Stephen Hawking had taken part in an underage orgy, as per the documents. Oh yeah. You can issue a reward to any of Virginia's friends, acquaintances, family that come forward to help prove the allegations are false. The strongest is the Clinton dinner, a new version of the Virgin Islands, and that Stephen Hawking participated in an underage orgy. That would be, I mean, I know Hawking was a horn dog. That was already been reported on, but he couldn't do much about it. People said Hawking visited Epstein's private Caribbean island as part of a science trip in March 2006, months before the disgraced financier was first charged with sex offenses. It said report that Hawking even got a ride on a customized submarine. He and other scientists were attending a conference funded by Epstein on gravity on the island. Mr. Hawking hasn't been accused of sexual misconduct involving Epstein. He died in 2018 at age 76 after a lifelong battle with ALS. So far, 2 batches of documents have been released and more are expected to come. Oh. Epstein, not Einstein. Ah. I can't read. I went to public school. Kitten, don't you dare climb up there. You can fight my feet all you want, but don't you dare climb up on the battery. Here, I'll rub you. Ow! Oh, it's sharp teeth. Sharp teeth in the toes. Ow! Oh my gosh, the cat's. Don't use the hind legs, please. You cannot gut my foot. That's ow, 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 ow. Ow, ow. Okay, where are we? Okay, the one with correcting my Epstein-Einstein thing. Ow, Walt the Man in the Middle. Good evening, Houston. What's going on with SBNY up 33,200% last month? That's weird, because they don't exist anymore. I don't know. I have no idea. Are shorts being forced to close on it? The guys who, maybe it's end of the year, and people wanted to, like, realize their gains and pay their taxes, so they bought? I have no idea. It makes no sense to me because it's wavering way more than any other bank that's been seized by the FDIC has done. More so than like, Washington Mutual or Wachovia did. It makes no sense to me. Well, I have no answers for you. The email, it's nice to blame the fat man for your problems. It's called Houston with a Problem. Ow, here's the fat man. That's my biggest problem right there, other than the kitten who's currently hunting my feet. Ben Lilo. I had issue with Webull, them borrowing my shares after the halt filed my 14,280 MMT shares with NextBridge Investor site. Really? So they lent out your shares, and did you manage to transfer them, or they still lent out? That's the problem. I think Webull has a big problem with those shares, big time. Jay Geyser, originally from Ohio, new Mandela effect. Somehow Cincinnati moved halfway between West Virginia and Indiana, underneath Dayton. I mean, Cincinnati's there, right? So there's West Virginia, and beneath, oh yeah, Dayton's there. Yeah. Where do you think Cincinnati was before? Good old Pennsatucky. I mean, it looks like it's where I've always thought it was. Did you think it was closer to West Virginia? Oh, you thought it was halfway, but thought Cincinnati was down here and not closer to Indiana? Oh, don't bonk your head, monkey. 110, Omir. Oh, you asked that question. JOW, can you repeat what you know about NextBridge 5 wells? They have drilled wells. The wells are pumping because they hooked up a pipeline to the field, and now they can send oil out. So hopefully they're getting cash for oil at this point. Hopefully Andrew Stewart can get in here and tell us more about the wells, because he's an actual roughneck. But folks have been coming by taking pictures of the West Texas oil fields and showing that, like, the wells have changed from exploratory wells to production wells, and they have reservoirs now that have oil in them from outflow. They're flaring off gas. They're doing all the stuff they normally would do. So, yeah, you can murder my feet some more? Is that what you can do? Oh, we can run away. That's perfect. Run away. But yeah, monkey needs more treats. A little more than halfway through the show, so we may as well give her a nuggie. Yeah, you want one of these? Yeah, you only got 400 of these today. What's one more? Right? Good thing you don't have a weed allergy. Okay. Boom. Happy dog. Happy dog, happy life. The Gringo Poppy, BBY, is going to blow your dick off. And you'll thank him for it. Wildcard Central, Houston. It's been a while. I wanted to know your opinion. Does it make sense to go to law school after a career in software engineering? If you want to, why not? If you're going to make your specialty like internet-related things, people will be like, oh, he was a software engineer for years and he went to law school? You can probably find good work working for, you can be in-house counsel for like Google or something, or you can be at some highfalutin law firm and be the go-to tech guy for them. So if you want to do it, I say do it. My opinion is, if you want to do more school, do more school. If you don't want to do more school, stay the hell away from school. That's my opinion. Every time I finish a degree, I'm like so exhausted. I'm like, never again. And then 2 years later, I find myself panicking on a Sunday evening where I'm supposed to turn in another paper. I'm like, why did I do this again? But yeah, if you want to do school, do school. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. So if you want to go to law school, wildcard, go to law school. That's what I will say. Pitchy Sunday, One Financial Meltdown, Houston. Man, things are getting so weird. Stuff in China is getting especially weird. Youth unemployment is insane. Iggy sent me this crazy documentary from China News Daily, one of those groups, doing what they call the library index, showing how during the day the public libraries are just packed full of unemployed youth. A lot of them are pretending like they're going to work, like they like kiss their wife or their parents goodbye, like off to work, da, 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 and they go and hang out in the library all day looking for jobs or reading, because there are no jobs. And there's a whole group. What was the term they were using in that show, Monkey? It was like the lie downers or something like that, where people just like, they have no future. They can't get a wife because they can't afford a house or to raise a family. So they're even bothering to like look for love. So just like, they're like choosing the incel path, men and women. They're like, I can't afford a family. They can't afford a dowry. Can't afford any of this stuff. So I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to like go hang out at the library or Starbucks and just do that for the rest of my life. And then they talk to their parents. The parents are like, oh, things are way too expensive. My son could never afford a dowry. What's the point of even like trying to find a wife? It's not going to happen. So I think there's a lot of malaise in China that China is not prepared to deal with. And the birth rate is crashing really hard. They are well below repopulation rates. The birth rate is lower than it was when they had a one-child policy. That's how insanely low the birth rate is. And marriages are down like 50% in just 6 years. So people aren't getting married. People aren't having sex. People aren't having kids. They're hanging out at the library. And, what are you going to do? Factories are shutting down. A lot of these big factory cities, populations have dropped by a quarter. So cities, these massive cities that sprang up overnight had like 12 million people in them. Now they've got 9 million. And the storefronts are all empty. I think China is facing a really big recession that they are not alerting the world to. And that recession is going to bleed over into other areas because they hold a bunch of bonds all over the world. They own a whole bunch of stocks and real estate and all sorts of things. And when Japan had their big crash in the 80s, they owned huge swaths of real estate all over the world. And them selling off that real estate precipitated a real estate collapse across the rest of the globe. So China, their economy is way bigger than Japan's ever was before they crashed. And I think something similar can happen as they sell stuff off to get hard currency again, because they're not exporting like they used to. And we used to export US dollars to China, and China would send us plastic shit. And that is slowing down as we are now in-housing a bunch of our manufacturing and looking for other countries to partner with, because we see a lot of stuff that national security wise, we're having China build, and we're like, oh, that's a terrible idea. COVID was a giant wake-up call. And so now we're partnering with more allies to make those things, or building them here in the US, such as microchips and stuff like that. So I think there's going to be a come to Jesus moment for the Chinese Central Party. And now I don't know if they're prepared to do what they're going to have to do, because what Mao would do is he'd just start killing people, right? Oh, you're a bank who lost everyone's money. We're going to hang all of you. And we're going to punish until they like eat away enough population that, you don't have unemployment anymore. I think that's kind of where they're headed in that respect. Bravo. Houston, what's the update on Ukraine front? Is Biden going to force him to sue for peace? Is Russia still facing excess losses per day? I don't think Biden wants like the sue for peace. Like what Russia wants is the land they already got. And I don't think it's in anyone's best interest to give them that land. I think it's everyone's best interest for China to fuck off and go, Russia, not China. I'm talking about China. For Russia to fuck off and head over across the original border. But Russia has lost a lot of soldiers. That 370,000 soldiers now, and we aren't even to the second anniversary yet. They're losing about 1,000 soldiers a day at the moment. They've lost something like 1 in 260 adults in the entire country, which is ridiculous to think about. Can you imagine, like, the town you're in, just 1 in 260 adults just gone, and then another 1 in 260 showing up with like no limbs or shrapnel in their skull or something. Those are numbers that modern wars generally do not produce. In 20 years in Afghanistan, I think the U.S. lost like 3,000 soldiers. So China, or Russia, I keep saying China. Russia has lost like 100 times that in 2 years. I mean, we lost 50,000 soldiers in 15 years in Vietnam. We thought that was like wrong. Like that was just too much. Russia does that right now in less than 2 months. So I don't think it's sustainable on Russia's side. almost every single conscript who was conscripted in September of 2022 is dead. Like all 300,000 of those soldiers, gone. So if you're going to do another conscription, you're basically sentencing to death every single solitary person you conscript. And now that they know they're going to die, right? How willing are they going to actually be to show up? And if your force taking nothing but prisoners, a la the Tsar, I'll take all these people out of the Siberian gulag and send them to the front. They're just going to wave a white flag and go give themselves up to Ukraine. They don't want to fight for you. You imprison them. Why would they want to fight for you? And if you have the good soldiers point a gun in their back and be like, go forward or we're going to kill you, that's not how you win a war. That is not how you win a war. You do not have the most lackadaisical, unprepared, underdressed, underarmed people in the entire world who don't like you anyway fight for you. That's not the way to do it. I think Putin is very ill. I don't think he's long for this world. I made my prediction last show that I think Putin's dying in 2024. Natural causes, not assassination. And there's going to be brouhaha as to which oligarch takes over for him. So, I mean, they've already lopped off the head of Prigozhin. He's gone. His plane crashed, and he's no more. All of his lieutenants are basically toast. I don't know who takes over, but Russia's going to be a mess. And if we can get members of Congress to keep sending arms to Ukraine will win this thing. And I think what we need to do is no longer send arms to Ukraine for a stalemate. Send arms to Ukraine so Ukraine can dominate. Send them, not just HIMARS, but ATACMs and, all the F-16s and B-52s and fucking send them everything. Let them just annihilate Russia. Just kick them out, carpet bomb them, be done with it. A-10s. Send them A-10s. Send them everything. So, we're not going to use them anymore. We got other stuff. So let them have all the old things and let them just whoop Russia butt with it. And the more 1970s and 80s technology that's destroying, Soviet and Russian arms, then China, who also their technology is built on the same Russian platform, is going to go, oh shit, maybe we should never try and invade Taiwan, because Taiwan not only has the old stuff, they've got a lot of the new stuff too. So, it'll be a nice warning for them. Pronto, did a major collision cause the moon to detach from the Earth? If so, why are these two so different? So, the moon is fluffy. It's only about 4.2 grams per cubic centimeter, which is around the density of the Earth's surface. The Earth's core is like 15 grams per cubic centimeter because we differentiated. So all the heavy stuff sank to the bottom, all the light stuff floated to the top. As it was a hot goo ball, it differentiated. What is theorized is 4-point-something billion years ago, a Mars-sized planet collided with proto-Earth. And as a result, in the explosion splashed out a whole bunch of material. A bunch of that rained back down the Earth's surface, but a whole bunch of it coalesced around a center of gravity and formed the moon. So the moon's about 1/88th the size of the Earth, mass-wise, and it has the same density as the Earth's crust, which makes us think that it was splash that came out of that collision that formed the moon. There's been lots of computer programs that simulated it that showed, this is pretty plausible. Basically, there's only two ways moons can form. Three ways moons can form. You have a collision, splashing something out. You got an object that's captured, or you have a moon that formed at the same time. And like the way, oh goodness gracious, I'm dropping things here. The way planets form is very similar to the way that, oh my gosh, this second mouse just fell on the floor and is trying to click on everything. The way planets form is very similar to how sun forms. So a gas cloud collapses down and starts to rotate. And as it rotates, it spins out a disk. And then the stars in the middle, where the fusion happens, in that disk is where things start to collide and form little gravity wells. Those gravity wells start to eat up everything. Well, each one of those gravity wells can spin out into a tiny little disk as well. So big giant planets like Saturn and Jupiter and Uranus and Neptune, a lot of those moons formed out of micro collisions happening inside the disk around the main planet that was forming. So those moons formed at the same time. Our Earth is too big, and our moon is too big and our Earth is too small to form a moon the size of our moon. So we think it has to be a different way that the moon formed, and that's via collision and splash of goo into space. So there you go. Good question, Prontal. Ben Lilo, my shares are still at my broker. I turned off the lending, I guess. Next bridge thing is just what you were talking about, investors letting them know how many shares you have and with what broker. But yeah, lending carried on past the halt date. Yep. And the number, I want to know the number of shares in Webull at the moment. That would be what I want to see. And I want to know how many are lent out, because I bet the number of shares lent out in Webull alone probably dwarfs the number of the official short interest that NextBridge said in their frequently asked questions they did. Well, not NextBridge, FINRA did in their frequently asked questions. I bet they're lying on so many fronts, and all their data is just horse pucky. Mainly, also, what possible event you think specifically send the market into complete chaos? I don't think it's a matter of if, but a matter of when. Thanks. Love your show. Well, the big thing right now is that the banks know they own a whole bunch of useless bonds that will never get paid off. They've got hundreds of billions of them. I mean, there's $100 billion in commercial real estate bonds this year alone that are supposed to mature and have their bulk payment done, and none of them are going to get paid. These real estate investment trusts are like, well, I could have this building that's worth $70 million, but we paid $400 million for it. So I'm not going to pay off the principal of the bond at the end of the year because fuck that, right? And these banks are refusing to write down their losses on these bonds. They're just pretending like, no, they're going to get paid in full. And then they're using these bonds to borrow money through the BTFP, the emergency bank funding thing that they started last year. And they're borrowing against that. And they're taking that money and they're putting it into the reverse repo to get higher interest rate back. So they're like making money right now as much as they can while this program's going on. That program's set to end in March. So once that ends in March, they have no reason to not write off those bonds as they start coming in. A couple of times in the last year, big real estate investment trusts, these big REITs have told the bank like, hey, you got the building back. I don't want it anymore. And the bank's like, please no. And so now they're at a standstill, like, no, you keep, we'll turn your bond to a 100-year bond or whatever. And the REITs are like, I don't want this building anymore. So I think the big thing we're waiting on is who's going to have the balls to write these bonds off first. And when they do, and they all of a sudden they have less investments than depositors have money in their banks, we may see some big boys fail. Or big girls, I'm not really sure of the gender of a bank. And that's where one of my other 2024 predictions is that a big bank is going under in 2024. Wells Fargo, Bank of America. Those are my two, and then maybe out here Citi. But one of those is, I think, going under. And if it combines with, a MOAS, a stock collapse, something else coming along with it, there's not really going to be much anyone can do about it. It's just gonna bring everything down, and that's going to be that. But the market right now is so artificially boosted by those 7 tech stocks plus corporate stock buybacks, and they're doing most of those corporate stock buybacks with debt. They're borrowing to buy back their own stock, and then you end up with things like Bed Bath & Beyond, right? If you borrow to buy your own stock to boost your stock's price, but you aren't using that money to make your company better or to advertise or to improve customer experience, develop new products, etc., you're gonna be toast. We saw that happen with that baby formula company last year, or I guess it was 2023. They spent like $5 billion, $8 billion on a stock buyback program to boost their stock price, and they ignored the maintenance that needed to happen on their machines, and the machines got full of bacteria, started killing babies which means they had to shut down and not sell formula, which means they lost a bunch of money and they're toast. So maybe if you don't spend $8 billion doing stock buybacks and instead spent a chunk of that doing routine maintenance on your machinery so you don't kill a bunch of babies, then you can have a viable product into the future and your stock might be worth more past, the date everyone found out that you poisoned and killed a bunch of babies. So I think there's going to be a comeuppance for a lot of companies who are going to realize the hard way that if you don't reinvest in your company and instead focus on stock buybacks, then the viability of their company starts to fail. You can no longer produce up-to-date products. Your machinery breaks and can't make things. Your storefronts look shitty and no one wants to go in there anymore. It's a big reason why. What was the name of that pharmaceutical company that got shorted? It was in the Dirty Money documentary on Netflix. That really hot lady who was running the fund. She shorted this pharmaceutical company because they're spending all their money. They're borrowing a bunch of money and spending it on buying their competitors rather than developing new drugs. And they got to a point where they bought all their competitors, weren't developing anything, and then there was no one left to buy, and the whole company just collapsed. We're due for correction in some way or another, and the longer it goes without correcting, the worse it's going to be. And I thought it was going to be pretty bad if things had collapsed in like 2018, when I saw just how much corporate borrowing was happening to stock buybacks, and we are well past that now. Now we've got inflation and all sorts of other things we're battling, and the Fed is trying its darndest to figure out how to fix this. And I think if they cut rates too soon, we'll have a big old boom and then a big old bust right after that, because it'll be like a fake boom. It'll be a fart. It'll be what it is. JW, our next bridge producing oil from those 5 new wells? As far as I know, it seems like, because the wells that are there are production wells and not exploration wells. So I assume that they're producing. How long before AMC has a stock split? What's it at now? Pre-split 5 cents. I know it's at the lowest price ever. That was news yesterday. It is 49 cents is what it's at pre-split. So $4.91. Ouch, man. What's their how many shares they have out there? They got 247 million shares out there. So right now, they have the equivalent as if they had a 2.4 billion shares pre-split. Almost 2.5 billion. Jeez, my knees. So they've diluted that float so much. They've diluted the float about 150%. Just since they did the reverse split. Wow. And they've paid off like, what, $100 million in those bonds? Like a drop in the bucket. It's like 1/50th of what they owe. So they're gonna have to. I mean, once the price starts threatening to go below $1 again, they're gonna be like, well, reverse split, and everyone's gonna be like, okay. And then their investments are gonna drop another 97%. So yeah, they really did that wrong. I think the only way to save them now is for someone like Disney or Amazon to come in and just buy the entire theater chain, because their market cap's below $1 billion now. So they buy it, they take all the debt that they have and stick it onto the debt of Disney or Amazon, and will be a drop in the bucket compared to the debt those companies hold, compared to this amount of sales they have. And I think that's the only way to save the company at this point. They can come in and just buy it up. But I don't. 247 million. There was, it was 500 million monkey. And then they reverse split 10-1 down to 50 million. Now it's at 247. Well, there was the 500 million ape shares. That's right. So I guess it was 1 billion. So they reverse split down to 100 million shares, and they got 247 million. So they're up 247% of what their original float was at the reverse split. Original shares outstanding was. So, And how many shares have the insiders bought? 0. None. All they've done is sold. Lalo Correveo. No inflation in the past 2 months. America producing more oil than Saudi Arabia. Well, there's been inflation. It's been like about 3% or so year over year. 3.1. We need to get down to 2. Get down to 2, and then you can cut rates and do whatever you want. Yeah, America's producing way more oil than Saudi Arabia. We're one of the largest producers in the entire world. Might be the largest exporter now of oil in the world. You think oil prices get lower? I mean, oil is at $70 a barrel. 2 years ago, it was at $130. So it's about 50% of where it was 2 years ago. And as our fuel prices at 50% of what they were 2 years ago, they're not here in the Northwest. We're still paying close to $4 a gallon here in the U.S. in the Northwest. California's still paying like $5 a gallon. The rest of the country's paying like $2.25. But we've got higher gas taxes out here. But yeah, it's interesting, man. It's interesting. Dog Mom, love waking up to a Houston show. You waking up late? I'm at the end of the chat. It's 10:42. I got 18 minutes left via that clock right there. That was it Dave want me to get? Daniel, Dave, Daryl. Yeah. Anyway, 10:42. Got 18 minutes left. What's he got for me? Otherwise, it's just going to be me like petting animals for the next 18 minutes. Bring it. I'll sit back, relax. MAGAs are turning on, what's that say? On the speaker. Crank it up. Yeah, the shills have been relentless in the subreddit recently, and they're following me around to other things I comment on Reddit. Like, I commented on some silly video, and they're like, "You're MAGA. You love MAGA." I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And it was like an account that was 2 years old, and they never posted twice into like UK housing subreddit. So I blocked them and reported them, and their account got deleted. And then they commented under it again with a second account that was a couple years old that only ever posted like once to a UK housing subreddit. I'm like, buddy, you're just stalking me at this point, you weirdo. Yeah. Have you looked at the GME options for February 17th? Time guesser, it's like GeoGuessr. I've not looked at the options chain. Let's do GME options chain, see what's happening. What we got? What's happening? Boom. Turn off the Google Earth. Turn on the Chrome. Bam, 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 bam. Bam? There we go. Okay, what do we got for options chain, Yahoo? Okay, you want me to look at February 17th? February 16th, you mean? Because that's the next date there. So February 16th, we've got a good chunk. Not too many happen on the 16th. Looks like we have more puts than we have. Well, it's a lot of puts at the $15 level. Got 935 at 30. That's quite a bit at 30. But the big weekly is these January 19th, right? That's the one that should have the big numbers. Yeah, here we go in the thousands. And it goes really high. I got 16,000 at the 127 level. That person hopefully didn't spend too much on that. That's a lot to lose at the 127 level in a week. 32. It's still up to like 510 there. We got a little bit of these dumps. 1,000 of the puts there. Not too much puts otherwise in big numbers. What about tomorrow. What's anything happening tomorrow? Oh, we got some big weeklies coming. A whole bunch of hopefuls at 16. Some folks hoping it drops $2 down to 15. Anything particularly you want me to look at for February? The number of options in play are nothing compared to what they've been in the past for these yearlies. So, I think happening January 26th. Big number, not big numbers. Oh no, wait, those are the volume. That's in the open interest. I'm looking at the wrong one. Open interest isn't listed at all. That's weird. Maybe we can find a better options chain. Let's look for a better options chain. Options chain NASDAQ. Do you have the open interest here? Volume open. Here we go. Here's open interest. GME January 12th. Like open interest. What prices? Let go, man. January 12th. What price? Where's my? Oh, here we go. Strike. So okay, here's open interest. The Yahoo for some reason didn't have that. But they're only doing the nears, not the fars. Composite. No, I don't want composite. I want all near money. No, here, click. All monies. That's what I want. Okay, January 12th. Open interest. Boom, here we go. So we got a few thousand on each side. So these are the calls, those are the puts. What I'm interested in is next week, which should be the yearlies. There we go, yearlies. There we go. All right, now we got big numbers. At 1750, 10,000 of them at 1750. So if we close up next week, that can give us some really big gamma going into the following week. 16,000 at 20. That's big numbers. 13,000 at 25. 13,000 at 30. So some big round numbers. I don't think we'll get to those unless something weird happens. But we can definitely cross the 17 line and push an extra million shares in to cause a little bit of gamma. Because the volume's been really small. The volume's only been like 2-3 million shares. So if you push an extra million in for that Monday, if we get over 1750, yeah. That put, at this point, it put about 20,000 shares, 20,000 options, about 2 million shares in there. Yeah, that could be good. Okay, here we go. We'll pass. The end is definitely coming soon. I've had a lot of my sources have to go dark until it blows over recently. Interesting. My apple's ripe to YOLO. Houston, I missed the last several shows and I'm just tuning in. Hit me with a quick recap of your current BBY thoughts. It's been busy. I've been busy and I loop lately. I think there's a couple court dates coming up, but is there anything legit in the works? The court dates are important. Tomorrow, we should hear some sort of grumbling out of the pump and dump case as to whether Judith Cohen and Todd What's-His-Butt have standing, or if BBY is going to take over as plaintiff, or if the whole thing shouldn't happen anyway and everyone should just fuck off and the case is dismissed. So hopefully we get some sort of conclusion on that, one side or the other, tomorrow. Then the judge in the bankruptcy case said, hey, there's a big hearing on the 17th, which could mean anything because the 18th is when the exclusivity period for filing a plan ends, and we might be able to start seeing things like a credit bid take shape. But I think a credit bid taking shape may rely upon getting rid of the pump and dump case. So that's where we are. So twiddle them thumbs, sit back and relax. Dogma, what I missed, you were talking about the Bitcoin Twitter fiasco. We talked about that and how the hacker made $3 million off of it. Way to go, hacker. Bravo, thoughts on South Africa, Israel, UN genocide case. I think it's going to go to trial at the UCJ, Criminal Justice Court, or is it the other one? There's two of them in The Hague. There's the Criminal Justice Court and then the other criminal court. But yeah, I think South Africa has a good case. you know, if the U.S. goes into a country and blows it up, right? Like they blew up Iraq, they blew up Afghanistan. They're still going in with food and water to make sure everybody has food and water. They aren't cutting off access to food and water. And that's what's been happening. They've been indiscriminately bombing everything in Gaza, displaced 2 million people, and they're dying of malnutrition and preventable diseases and dehydration right now. So I think that South Africa has a case for them against the court. What comes of that, if anything, in the court, I have no idea. I mean, Israel did sign the treaty joining that court. They are the founding member of that court after what happened to Jews in Europe. So I think it speaks volumes if they get charged for doing what was done to them 80 years ago. I think Netanyahu should definitely be held accountable. He failed the Israeli people, and now he's violating the Palestinian people in an attempt to we're going to get these members of Hamas. Well, you can do it without murdering tens of thousands of people and displacing millions. There has to be a much more tactical way to do it than how you have been doing it, because the number of people from Hamas they've captured almost non-existent. I don't think the ends justify the means and how they've been going about it. So I think South Africa has a real case on this. Philip Tang, when next Twitch session? Oh, I haven't done Twitch in so long. I have a monkey. We should do a Twitch at some point. Maybe tomorrow? Should we do a Twitch tomorrow? Should we use our brain and do a Twitch tomorrow? Should we little freak? Rah, 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 rah. Oh yeah, I'll pet your head. You special dog. Look at you. Look at you. Okay. Tia. Oh, so push this one. Futavong? Tia Futavong? What happens to a stock after market makers are found liable for spoofing by a court? I don't know. My guess is a fine, a penalty, a judgment, and maybe forced closing of any shares that were sold naked as a result of that spoofing. Taking of their brokerage license so that they can't operate anymore. So I think it should be drastic things. I think it should be so punishable that any money you made via spoofing, naked selling, whatever, should have to be paid back 10x. Make it so painful that no one wants to do it. Because, make quick buck, but you're going to be facing prison and or paying back 10x on whatever it was you made. People aren't going to do it. They're going to be like, no, thank you. And that's the only way to get these sociopaths to obey the rules. Because if as I say, if the fine is less than what you made, it's not a fine. It's just an expense. Like, it's the cost of doing business. So, yeah. Thaco XP, I have no idea. I've been here 2 minutes, but if you look, when you type chat, meow, sigh, cat messiah, frog, what? Thaco? Cool. I have no idea what's going on. My apple's ripe to YOLO. I've got $80 January 19th calls. Lol. Well, I don't think those are playing out unless something spectacular happens. Safe to say I'm losing those puppies. It happens. Iron Sound Team, my MMAC calls I bought December 22, expiring January 19th, worthless. 3.5 more months and I can talk about it. All right. Schrodinger's portfolio. New year, new name. Does Gensler have any credibility remaining? Over the span of 2 days, he approved, disapproved, reapproved, and simultaneously discredited it. Citizen 54, fun fact, Twitch is losing about a third of its staff. Also cuts at Prime and MGM Studios. Amazon trimming fat while adding ads. Greed, greed, greed. Yeah, I got to notice they're gonna start charging me ads for Prime. Unless I spend an extra like $2.70 a month or something. I mean, I did get Prime for free for about 18 years? Whenever it is they came out with Prime. They never charged me once until this year. It's the first year I got charged for Prime. And I was shocked. I look at my bank account, I'm like, what is this $119 charge? Prime? What? Because they never charged me before, but they must have ironed out that wrinkle. So I'm glad they didn't back charge me for the $2,000 in Prime that I owed them for the last 18 years. But, you win some, you lose some. Interesting that they're cutting the fat. Yeah, like Amazon has been losing a lot of money since the bulk of the COVID shutdown happened. I think the problem is that they rode that high, expanded too much, and then online purchases shrank after the lockdowns. So Amazon's best interest should make all the conspiracy theorists happy is that Amazon should release a very communicable disease that will take 6 to 8 months for a vaccine to come out and then force another shutdown. And then Amazon will win the game, right? Everyone will be at home. They'll be watching Prime. They'll be ordering things off the internet. So that should make all the conspiracy theorists happy because then they'll be like, oh, Jeff Bezos is the one who had the secret labs, and go from there. KYP she brought up on war crime charges. Talking about Netanyahu? Agreed. Yeah. Gotta fund those moon rockets for Jeff. Mind the moon, rule the world. Exactly. Apple's ripe to YOLO. How much are we spending on TV now? Everyone was excited to get away from cable bills. I have to be spending more than I paid for cable for all the subscriptions. I mean, I get 2 of them for free. I get Paramount and Netflix are paid for by my phone bill because they gave them to me with T-Mobile. Okay, cool. I used to not pay for it for Prime, but now they're charging me for it. I get HBO comes with my internet along with what's the other one? The Comcast one, the Peacock. So I get HBO and Peacock. So I got 5 of them. Are there any others? So the only one I really pay for is Prime. The other ones come with other packages like internet and phone that I have to pay for anyway. I don't have Apple TV, although I did get to watch 3 episodes of For All Mankind on the airplane to Miami, which made me want to go get Apple so I can finish watching that because space, man. Yeah. What they should do, you should have some sort of, like you've got like Mint Mobile buys bulk minutes and data from T-Mobile and then sells it to you for a cheap price and you get like the T-Mobile thing. And they do that with like Boost and like, what's the other ones? The other crappy cell phone companies. They buy these things in bulk and then sell it to you cheap. There should be some sort of way where you can like buy 1 million subscriptions to Netflix for cheap and 1 million subscriptions to Paramount and 1 million subscriptions to Peacock and 1 million subscriptions to Apple TV and 1 million subscriptions to Prime. And then you can be able to sell those bulk cheap to other customers. That should be what the future is. So that should be a startup. That's a startup idea. Anyone want to work on that with me? We'll do a startup idea. We will figure out, we'll raise capital. We'll buy streaming platform licenses for cheap. And then we'll sell them to people and so they can watch any show they want for like $20 a month total. So you can have 20 for each one. That's what we're going to do. That's how we're going to make it. And that's what we're going to do. That work? I pay for Prime plus a few extra channels. YouTube, Disney. Oh yeah, Disney. Disney comes with my Hulu. That's the other one I pay for. I pay like $12 a month for Disney and Hulu come together. Disney, Crave. Oh, Canadians. You got Crave. There's a few more. Nothing free here, but I give my password to the older kids that I moved out and feel like I'm getting more. Mint sold to T-Mobile, didn't it? Yeah. Ryan Reynolds is a billionaire now because he sold it for like $1.4 billion or something, which is great for Wrexham. They will go far with that. Yeah. So, it's 11 o'clock. We managed to bullshit for another 18 minutes there, monkey. That worked out all right. Fat cat, kitten, hiding underneath that extra computer monitor down there that I need to put on this desk at some point. Fantastic, everyone. Excellent Houston After Dark. see you guys Friday and maybe a Twitch tomorrow if I can remember to do that. So, all right, let's, okay, because that's shit show intro, MOAS intro, Halloween intro, After Dark, this one. Boink. Boop. A classic, right? Two kitties.